Now, some of you might say, Henk, why are you doing this? I'm a layperson. Before I started speaking, I should have mentioned I stand nothing to gain. If anything, loss is more likely. There's literally nothing. No one's going to call me up and say, Henk, wow, you've really showed it. Why don't you come be president? It's not going to happen. I'm spending my time here. Why am I doing it? I'm spending my time at risk of consequences here. Why am I doing it? If you go onto Rumble and you watch the Liberty and Health Oceania live stream, which was presented on the 7th of September, you will know why. This couple here, they preceded my presentation, and they are the parents. Now, this is a lay pastor of the Adventist Church. Their son was working at a Adventist affiliated institution. He had a medical exemption. His valid medical exemption was not recognized, and they continued with a discussion about his continued employment. And ultimately, he succumbed to the pressure and he took the therapy and he suffered a stroke soon after. And they are the people who I now have as real examples. Previously, for me, this was a theoretical danger. Now that I've met them, I see that this is not a theoretical issue I'm discussing. This is a real danger. There are many more families who have been affected by a therapy that has been encouraged by the General Conference, a therapy that the General Conference ADCOM themselves acknowledge can have severe side effects, even death. This is not a harmless issue that we're discussing. And I've met this couple and their son, and it hurts me when I see what has happened to their healthy, energetic son who was able to flourish in society until he was compelled to take that therapy. Why am I doing this? I have children too. And I will defend my children. I will defend as many children as I can while I am here to stand up against this statement to ensure that we are restored our religious liberty. Now, for you to understand, maybe just a short story from my side. You want to know who I am. This story will tell you who I am. This is a street in Phuket, Thailand. And you can see there's some electric wiring here between these two hotels. And in my more newlywed years, I didn't have a lot of means. I've managed to come full circle. I'm back in that situation, in those circumstances. But we're renting a room in this resort hotel. And we were sleeping there one night and we heard a pop. And I said to my wife, that sounds like fire extinguishers. Now, when I was growing up, I was a bit of a naughty boy, and some of my friends were into mischief, and they would pop the fire extinguishers and spray it for fun in the schoolyard. So I knew the sound. I said, that's a fire extinguisher. I said to her, look, I don't know the safety profile of this place. You start packing. You start packing because I think we've got to get out of here. So I ran out. I came alongside. I saw one of these transformers had exploded during the night. Now, this building here, behind all the wiring, used to be a wooden building. It had a wooden facade. And that transformer that exploded had set that wood alight. It was burning. So I ran back in. I said to my wife, we've got to get our stuff and get out. There's a fire. We evacuated our room. We stood on the roadside. And we were just speaking in our mother tongue, which is Afrikaans. And suddenly a couple next to us turned around and said, oh, are you Afrikaans? And we started chatting. So there's a small message there about the Afrikaans people who are probably very alert for very good reason. And we were talking, and I said after a while to this guy, look, that fire is not going to go out. I don't hear a fire alarm. Oh, what are we doing here? And that guy said, yeah, somebody should go in there and tell them. Well, I'll tell you, there was no one else. I turned around, I charged back into that hotel. I came to the front lobby. I asked the guy Where's your alarm? Alarm's not working. I said, this hotel is going to burn down. We've got to evacuate. He agreed. I said, mate, do you have a guest list? We've got to evacuate the hotel. There's people in these rooms. He doesn't have a guest list. I said, I'm going to go door to door, mate. I started running up into that hotel. I'm hammering on doors. People are evacuated. I'm getting them out. One of the doors I hammer on, inside is a guy, a Russian guy. Russian guys are used to having to act tough and being tough. He opens the door. He wants to fight me. Luckily, I am of higher stature than most men. So once the door was open, he wasn't so confident about his chances. He doesn't understand a word of English. I'm saying, fire, get your stuff, get out. Luckily, his son was sleeping in another room, and his son must have watched Western media. He understood the word fire. He starts crying. The dad starts to figure out there's a problem here. He grabs his family, his elder son in the other room. They run. I go up. I come to the last door in that hotel, just beneath where this fire is burning. That's the very top of the hotel. That's the roof of the hotel. They have the room immediately underneath that. I knock, nothing opens. I knock. I say to the guy, mate, I'm going to kick this door down. I kick the door. Suddenly the door opens. Out peers a face. I say, you've got to get your stuff and get out. These people grab their gear. They run. It is a mother, a father. It's their 3 children and grandmother and grandfather. 3 generations in one room. They run. We evacuate that hotel. I get out. The next morning, we went in to see what happened. The fire brigade was useless. They show up with flip-flops. They don't have boots. They don't want to go near the fire. They're lobbing the flame with the hose pipe. It was a disaster. That hotel burned down. This is my room the next morning. Above this, it looks worse. This is as far as we could get in. The upper floors were completely consumed. Now, why do I tell this story? I feel the same about this issue, this statement. No one is warning people about this danger. And I'm sorry, I just have that responsibility in me that when I see people facing harm and danger, I feel compelled to warn them. And that's why I've taken this upon me. I am rushing into this church and I am pleading with you, get out. There's a fire. I'm not saying leave the church. I'm saying get out of this statement. Like the Russian guy, there are pastors and administrators in this church who assume they always have the moral high ground. And when I approach with this issue, they think I'm antagonistic to the church. They want to fight me. I'm not your enemy. I'm telling you, we've got to get this statement out, sort it out. And many of them, once they have received the full picture, once they've started to actually listen and not try to dismiss me, they have turned the corner. And that's why we've got an ExCom vote. The leadership was not happy with me. But once I sat them down and I explained the issue, they finally started to get it. I've gone through the same exercise with another conference, and increasingly they're going around saying they now understand what I'm warning about, and they're supporting that this statement needs to go. I'm telling you, please, we need to get people out of the burning building. This statement has already harmed many. We cannot afford more harm.